Hi, this is Chan. Today we'll have a deeper look at the core of Real Madrid and the German national team's midfield line, Toni Kroos. Carlos Ancelotti once said that he's another professor who's graduated from Xabi Alonso's university. Toni Kroos is neither fast nor strong compared to other footballers. But despite this, how was he a core player in the World Cup winning squad of Germany in 2014 and win 3 Champions Leagues in a row? Let's find out today. Helmsman. A helmsman is a person who steers a ship or a boat. I would say that a helmsman in football is a player that leans back to look over the game to see what's going on in front of him so that he can command the plays. So simply put, a helmsman is a deep-lying playmaker. Kroos plays in this exact role. He loves to play in and around the defensive line, especially on the left of the defensive line. When he plays, he likes to position himself like this and progress the ball by getting himself deeply involved with the possession of the ball. Due to his concise playing style, he's somewhat unnoticeable when he's playing. But when Kroos is absent, you can recognize his importance because the ball doesn't circulate around the park properly. As a helmsman of the team, he's a master at setting the tempo of the game. When the team needs to counter-attack, he passes the ball forward quickly, and when they don't need to take any risks in attacking, he keeps the possession and progresses the ball slowly and calmly. Setting the tempo of the game usually requires a lot of experience, and many players become good at it during latter stages of their career. However, Toni Kroos was excellent at it right after he burst onto the scene. Another thing that stands out from his playing style is that he's really smart in choosing the direction to progress the ball forwards. He spots the empty space and puts the ball in and out of that space. This actually affects the game a lot. Have a look at this. If there's a space in the middle of the park, you can progress the ball into that space. The defenders on the opposing team naturally get drawn into that space, making gaps on the side channels for Kroos to pass into. This disorganizes the defensive line again, and Kroos can receive the ball and switch the play with the long ball, where a lot of space has been created by different sequences of plays. Just like Toni Kroos, one characteristic you can find in a deep-lying playmaker position is their observation of the opponent player. If he notices that the opponent fullback is knackered, he would keep playing the ball into that side of the pitch so that the fullback loses his legs. Pass success rate. Kroos' pass success rate is just ridiculous. The stats I'll recall right now are not from single games, but they're his averages across different seasons. So his season average pass success rates are 93.5%, 93.9%, 93.5%, 93.8%, 93.2%, 94%. Ever since he came to La Liga, it's never been below 92%. You might not have an idea of how impossible this is. The predecessor of Real Madrid's deep-lying playmaker position was Xabi Alonso, and his average pass success rate for his infamous 2013-14 season was 88%. With Toni Kroos' average being around 93% across the seasons, you can only imagine how high his pass success rate must be when he's on his day. When he played against PSG in the Champions League once, he recorded a staggering 99% success rate. Some people might say he would have only played the safe passes, but no. His switches to the other sides were all successful and even created 3 chances, which was the highest in that game. This might sound obvious, but there's a reason that his pass success rate can be so high. Kroos is so athletic. The athleticism I want to talk about does not refer to his physique. It's the fact that he's so efficient in reacting to different situations in the game. So like, if he wants to deliver a ball into a certain area, the way his brain sends this message to his body is so quick and accurate. To elaborate this a little bit further in sports terms, what I mean by his athleticism is that the process of perception, decision, and action is so quick and concise. This also means that he can quickly stop his initial movement if he senses something wrong. So to give an example, when you're playing football, there are situations when you see a line of pass to your teammates and you try to pass the ball. And while you're trying to pass the ball, at the same time you sense an interception coming along your way. But our unathletic body is already in the movement to pass the ball, so your pass gets intercepted anyway. You know what I mean, right? It's like that moment when you know that your pass isn't going to make it to your teammates, but you just can't stop your body from stopping right away. But athletic players like Toni Kroos perceive the danger, decide to take a different option and stop his initial action immediately and move on to the next action. Packing rate. I've just mentioned his pass success rate, but you might say, all he does is pass the ball back or pass it to the side, so his pass success rate is incorrect, man. Sure, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but if you've heard of the statistic called packing rate, you might be enlightened. So the origin of the packing rate came about after the semi-finals between Brazil and Germany, where the hosting nation lost by 7-1. An incident often infamously named as the agony of Mineral. Contrary to the results, if you looked at the stats after the game, possession, tackle success rate, shots on target, corner kicks, and crosses were all in favor of Brazil. So why was it that the stats were in favor of Brazil even though they lost by 7-1? What do the stats mean then? They're pointless as they don't portray the result of the game, right? So the entrepreneurs in Germany set up a company called Impact to come up with the statistic that can properly portray the result of a match. They analyzed the semi-final in detail and extracted every statistic that was available. And coincidentally, there was a number that was in favor of Germany. Basically, it was a number that represented the forward passes that a player made after receiving the ball, whether it be a short pass forward or a long diagonal ball across the pitch. So they analyzed this a little bit further and came up with the word packing to describe the effectiveness of a forward pass by recording the number of opponent players it bypassed, which in turn nullified them from the game. And later on, they came up with packing rate, which records the number of opponent players that a pass bypasses. For example, if a pass bypasses 3 players, then add 3, and if another pass bypasses 4 players, then add 4. The sum of this number in a game is defined as packing rate. This graph illustrates the packing rates of La Liga players. The horizontal axes show how many opponent players that their pass has bypassed. And you can see that Toni Kroos' packing rate is extremely high. Here's another graph of packing rate for midfielders currently playing in the big 4 European leagues. Kroos again is first on the list. Luis Alberto is a number 10 playing at Lazio. His play is vertically high right. This shows the number of defenders that are pass bypassed. So basically, he's a player that's able to put in dangerous passes in the final third. Anyways, let's find out how our packing rate can be improved, shall we? I'll give you a quick quiz. You're in possession of the ball here, and you have the options of your teammate A and teammate B. Who would you pass the ball to, A or B? Have you selected? Well, most amateurs like me pass the ball to B, but Kroos would usually pass the ball to A. So why does he do that? It's because the ball needs to be passed further forward to make the defenders run and run more. If you pass the ball to B, then the defenders won't move that much. On the other hand, if you pass the ball to A, a midfielder would need to come and cover to defend, making him run more. Also, if the ball is passed further down the line, you need to run fast and quickly get into position to defend, as an attacking situation is more dangerous in that area, and this just draws out your breath. Not only this, but if the ball is passed straight to A, our fullback B can overlap straight away, and a series of overlapping and underlapping plays causes a lot of confusion for the defenders, because they'll need to communicate who's going to stop A and who's going to stop B. If the communication isn't done properly or is late, you're going to create some defensive gaps and create disorganization in the defense. If you pass the ball to B, then there's no point in switching their places and you just can't create any attacking space. You might have an argument against this and say, can you just give the ball to B, then B can pass the ball to A and then B can overlap? But this has a significant disadvantage. When a ball goes to B, the opponents can defensively shift as a unit, which closes down the spaces even more, and in turn it'd be more difficult for B to overlap later on. Yet again, in contrast, if the ball is directly passed to A, the space is still quite big around the flank, and this in turn would be a much easier scenario for B to overlap. Creating chances. In the 2020-21 season, with 25 chances created, he was ranked number 1 in the number of chances created alongside Kimmich and Cuadrado. But what's more astounding than his stats is his ability to create chances not only with his favoured foot, but his weaker foot as well. The advantage of being proficient with your weaker foot is this. If your weaker foot is as good as your stronger foot, you can always time your pass to the attacker's runs, rather than them having to adjust the timing of their runs to receive your delivery. Toni Kroos is also brilliant at recognizing the depth imbalance in the opponent's defensive line. So for example, you can see that the opponent's defense is all over the place and disorganized. He's able to recognize this and calculate the distance between them to put in a good through ball. Also, the fact that he's the main set piece taker allows him to create even more chances. He's been the main kicker for corner kicks and free kicks at both Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. And it's all because his kicks swerve so much, especially when they're crossed into the box from the side channels. And it'd be a waste of time to mention the accuracy of them too. Long range shots. His shots from outside the box are just incredible, and he's able to hit that sweet spot every time. But as you would probably know already, he has that special technique where he would hit the ball with the inside of his foot and the shot would just glide over the grass and bend it into the corner of the net. A lot of footballers, including professionals, often send it well above the crossbar, but Toni Kroos' long range shots are another level. Shuffle. Toni Kroos is really good at this technique called the shuffle. But what is a shuffle? When he goes to receive the ball, a defender puts pressure on him. He feints his movement and makes it look like he's going to turn this way, but actually turns the other way with a snap of his ankle. The simple skill tricks the defender and he's able to run past them quite easily. Shuffle looks so simple, but there's actually a secret to trick the defender defender every time. You need to open your body into the direction that you're not going to move into. Look, it seems like he's going to turn this way, right? But then he uses the snap of his ankle to change the direction of the ball. Also, it's very important to time the touch as well. You need to wait until the defender has been properly tricked. So for example, Kroos makes sure that the defender is in full belief that it'll turn this way, and then Kroos changes the direction of the ball to catch him out. After stripping off a defender, he always strides with the ball to increase the gap between himself and the defender. And this doesn't require high speed because the defender is moving in the wrong direction. One interesting thing is, the defenders know that Toni Kroos shuffles a lot, and they come prepared to stop him. Kroos knows this already and executes a different strategy. So have a look at this situation where he's about to receive the ball and the defender just waits for Kroos to shuffle. Kroos takes this opportunity and turns a second faster and runs past the defender. Whereas the shuffle slowed down the timing of his touch, this accelerates the timing of his touch. Kroos is capable of using both of these to his advantage throughout a game. Adipure 11 Pro 2. Most players change their boots when the new ones are released, mainly because they're sponsored by the sport companies. However, Toni Kroos always wears Adipure 11 Pro 2, which was released in 2013. In one of his interviews, someone asked him why he only wears them, and his reply to that was simply because of superstition. Apparently it doesn't feel right if he's wearing a different pair of boots. He also quoted, "My football boots are the most important thing when I go on the pitch. I have to play in white shoes, that's a little tick of mine." He added, "Even the smallest bit of dirt disturbs me. That's why I clean and care for my shoes myself. Some people think I've lost my marbles, but when I look down, I want to see white shoes. Otherwise, I don't feel well." Mass production of these boots ended in 2014, but Adidas have been producing these boots only for Toni Kroos. Weaknesses. Toni Kroos is not fast at all, but he's a master in shuffling, so it's not a big fuss. He's 6 foot in height, so he's quite tall, but he has no interest in aerial battles, like he doesn't like it at all. Also, when he's defending, his interceptions and tackles like these aren't too shabby, but he's not so much an energetic player that runs around the whole park and covers empty areas when defending. Specifically, as a central defender, you need to cover for the gaps between the centre back and the full back when it's spaced out, but he's not the type of player that enjoys doing the hard work for the team. This is why Zidane put Casemiro next to him, who's a lot more solid defensively. So that's it for today's analysis of Professor Toni Kroos. I'll see you in my next video, and until then, stay blessed. Peace!